Hello and welcome to SBK Unplugged, Sheldon Bosley Knight's land and property podcast. My name is Kate Gould and I'm the host of the show. Today I am in the studio with our lettings director Rebecca Dean. Hi Becca, nice to see you again.
Hi, thank you for having me again.
Before we kick off, I just want to say a big thank you again to Mill Street for hosting us in their amazing studio here in Leamington Spa. Thank you very much, guys. So Becca, today we're going to talk about the services that Sheldon Bosley Knight offers its landlords. And I just thought it would be helpful for you to just go over the three services that we offer, just give a brief overview.
So I think the good thing is with Sheldon Bosley Knight is that we can tailor-make to a degree what the service looks like and play to the landlord's needs more than anything. But the main services that we do offer and display are a tenant find only service, whereby we would search for the tenant for the landlord through marketing, reaching out to tenants that we've got registered within our database. We would complete the referencing on an applicant that's been accepted by the landlord, and then set up the tenancy, and then it's over to the landlord to manage the property themselves. We've then got a rent collect service, which we call our in-between service, which has been quite popular actually over the recent years, more for landlords that might have new build properties where maintenance volumes are going to be potentially lower, or picked up by builders under the warranty. So the rent collect, again, we will advertise, we complete the viewings, find a suitable tenant for the landlord, complete referencing, get the tenancy drawn up and in place, make sure the deposits are collected, protected, etc. The management side of that then is over to the landlord, but we take care of the rent collection each month and pay that to the landlord when the rent reaches our client account. And then top of the shop, we've got our fully managed service, which is the one that we like to talk about a lot, because we think it is a very valuable service, and one that landlords should be considering, especially with the changes that are to come at the moment.
Well, I was going to say, with the Renters' Rights Bill going through Parliament at the moment, it is probably more important than ever that landlords have as much protection as possible, because although there is some degree of certainty in terms of some of the elements of the bill, we're still not sure when it's going to be implemented. So tell me about the fully managed service and what are the benefits to our landlords, and why should they at least consider that?
Yeah, so the fully managed, so prior to the tenancy set up, everything works in the same way. So we will always make sure that for the landlord, the legislation, legal requirements are being met. We make sure that for the tenant, the compliance side of things has been met by the landlord and safety certificates are in place. And the management service then really changes, or really kind of takes hold when the tenant has actually moved into the property. So the important parts then of that service are the fact that we are the point of contact for any maintenance issues. We complete property visits. We guarantee 2 visits to the property per year in person. We collect the rent monthly, pay that to the landlord once it's been received. We deal with any issues that the tenant may report during the tenancy, make sure the compliance side of things is kept on top of for the landlord. So if there's a gas safety due to expire, we make sure there's a new gas safety put in place, which means the tenant's still safe and the landlord's legal requirements have been met. We also then take care of the checkout at the end of the tenancy. So with all of our services, we do recommend an inventory is done before the tenancy begins, so that we've got an original document of what the property is like when the tenant moves in. We then complete the checkout at the end of the tenancy as part of our managed service to make sure that the property has been returned in the same condition. We also then deal with any deposit deductions, and as we act as stakeholder, we work kind of as the middleman between the landlord and the tenant to try and meet a reasonable agreement at the end of the tenancy on any deductions that may need to be made. I think the most important thing about the fully managed service at the moment is the fact that we can offer the rent guarantee service where it's a fully managed landlord, the fact that we can offer the deposit alternative where again it's a fully managed landlord. So those are additional parts to a fully managed service that the landlord can take with us. And with what is to come and the changes that we're facing ahead at the moment with the Renters' Rights Bill, I think those two services are going to be more important to landlords than ever, to make sure that they've got the ultimate protection when they're letting their property. And I think the other thing as well is the regular updates.
Yeah.
So as a fully managed landlord with Sheldon Bosley Knight, there are regular updates on what we're doing, how we can support them more, additional services that we can offer to them because they have a fully managed service with us. And those updates, again, with what's to come, are just really, really important at the moment in educating landlords and keeping them informed of what's going on in the industry.
And I guess also peace of mind as well, because everybody's busy. Most landlords have got other jobs, perhaps they've got family as well, and life gets in the way. And so if you've got an agent like Sheldon Bosley Knight who's on top of everything that's going on, all the legislative changes that are happening at the moment, it just offers that peace of mind that they know their tenancy or their investment is in safe hands, it's being looked after. Should there be any issues, that the agents are on top of it and can sort it out for them.
Absolutely. And I think, you know, like you've just highlighted, most landlords, they do work, they have families. I think there is just this misconception that every landlord is, you know, some big portfolio investor landlord who, you know, doesn't really have much to do during their day other than oversee their portfolio. I think that does seem to be a bit of a perception that is had. But most of our landlords, whilst we do work with some big investor clients, most of our landlords are the you and I who do get up. We get children to school, we have a job, we have to get home, we have to, you know, cook a meal, we have to deal with football training and children's clubs. And so when you then throw in a rental property or two or three, and the landlord is looking after that themselves, it is a big responsibility. You know, when you're in the middle of your day and your tenant phones to tell you that their boiler may have broken down, or you're relying on the rent to come in to cover a mortgage payment and you're having to check your account and it doesn't come in, you're having to then, you know, chase the tenant or speak to the tenant to find out and understand what's going on. So, you know, those two things in themselves are quite big responsibilities. Yeah. In addition, you've got to keep on top of your safety certificates, you know, make sure your gas safety is renewed, your EICR, your EPC. And there is a lot of legislation for landlords to have to cover. And whilst even with a tenant fine service, we make sure that a lot of that is covered off with the tenancy agreement that's produced, and we make sure that all of the compliance is ticked off to start with. If that tenancy then runs for 2, 3, 4 years, things change. You know, as we know, we've got the Renters' Rights Bill at some point in the very near future that's going to be enforced. And when things do change, as an agent, we make changes, which then keeps the landlords protected. So, that fully managed service, I think, especially for a landlord who is busy and does have a job and children and a life, it all it can be quite a lot to have to look after. So peace of mind is absolutely what the fully managed service is about.
Excellent. So worth its weight in gold. So if you're not fully managed, you need to be.
Yes, in my opinion, of course. And you know, we're here to try and help and service our landlords as much as we possibly can. So we would always want to have a fully managed instruction over a tenant find instruction, of course, because we're a managing agent. So that is, of course, what we're here to do. But also just to protect the landlords and be able to offer those additional services that can only be provided if you have a fully managed service. So the rent guarantee, I know we've touched on in a lot of our podcasts and our updates, but the value of that is just, you can't even put that into words right now. And unfortunately, it's not a service that we can be offering if you're a landlord that is tenant fined, or even if you're a landlord that isn't with us. So if you're not with Sheldon Bosley Knight and you don't currently have a fully managed service, then it's definitely worth looking into to provide you with that ultimate peace of mind and allow our teams to do the hard work, and so you don't have to.
So if you want more advice or more support, get in touch with one of our teams in one of our branches?
Yep, so obviously we've got offices across Warwickshire, we touch on the Worcestershire border, Leicestershire, the West Midlands, and any of our teams any of our branches where we have a sales team, we do have a lettings department that can cover the location. So yes, please get in touch.
Brilliant. Well, thank you very much, Becca, for that very, very useful advice. Thank you. And thank you very much for watching. We'll see you again next time.